It is reported that the Vatican City may be worth up to $15 billion. This is a country with a population of less than 800 people and a little more than the size of 61 football fields. It has no mega industries or business sectors and merely depends on imports to survive. Yet, it is among the richest, smallest countries in the world, with assets in gold, stock holdings, and raw, abundant cash. How did the Vatican City accumulate all this wealth without a tangible economy? And why has it chosen to keep most of its financial activities a secret, despite allegations of money laundering, fraud, and tax evasion? Stay with us as we expose the untold story of the Vatican's riches and the secrets of its mystic wealth. Governed by the Catholic Church, the Vatican City is a landlocked sovereign state in Italy, ruled by the Pope and guided by a scripture-based constitution, also known as canon laws. For more than 1,000 years, until the mid-19th century, these laws were used to govern the Italian peninsula by the Church, which was the central power at that time. But everything soon changed in 1870, when the city of Rome was captured by Italian troops, leading to the creation of a new kingdom of Italy, which quickly dissolved the authority of the theocratic powers. However, the Vatican itself was saved from the occupation, forcing the popes to flee there, after which they refused to leave, declaring themselves prisoners of the Vatican. With the vast lands and properties previously controlled by the Church now lost, the Catholic Church was plunged into financial crisis and had no option but to heavily rely on Peter's Pence, an ancient system of voluntary donations by Catholics worldwide. The Holy See, which was the Vatican's seat of power, continued to nurse its wound from the fall, bearing grudges against the Kingdom of Italy, which established itself across the Italian peninsula. This caused seemingly unending hostile relations between the two entities for up to 60 years before a resolution was finally reached in 1929, allowing the Vatican to become an independent state of its own, with the Pope as its leader. A part of the agreement obligated the Italian government to compensate the Vatican City for the financial losses incurred during the displacement of the Church decades ago. And in light of this, the State of Italy paid the Vatican City a cash equivalent of $630 million and $900 million worth of Italian government bonds to kickstart their new state. While this may not compare to the amount of wealth the Holy See once commanded, it was a good way to start all over again. But nobody expected what happened next, until it had happened, and the Vatican was now a billion-dollar empire, thanks to the brilliance of one man, Bernardino Nogara. Bernardino was neither a pope nor a rich man, but a family friend to the ruling pope at the time, Pope Pius XI. When the office of the Pope had received the capital endowment promised by the government of Italy, a special administration was quickly created to manage the funds, as the Pope entrusted everything into the hands of Bernardino Nogara. Bernardino's appointment came with significant autonomy in his investment decisions, allowing him to operate without strict adherence to the religious nature of the papacy. This freedom enabled him to diversify the Vatican's investments across various sectors, including real estate, stocks, and other financial instruments. Due to the confidential nature at which the Vatican kept its finances, Bernardino was able to put money into companies whose business could be seen to be incompatible with Catholic Church doctrines. For example, he was reported to have invested in Italy's largest manufacturer of birth control products, provided loans to Mussolini's fascist government, and invested in the war industries of both sides of the warring factions during the Second World War. Following these shady activities, questions have arisen concerning the Pope's awareness of Bernardino's investment tactics. It is reported that he was able to keep much of his business dealings by creating a vast network of companies, running into hundreds across multiple countries. This allowed him to make investment of a controversial nature that could hardly be tracked back to the Vatican. While some argue that the finance head was merely exercising his autonomy beyond the prying eyes of the Holy See, others suggest that the Vatican deliberately used Bernardino to avoid accountability for its questionable financial exploits. Despite these controversies, the young man retained his position even after the death of Pope Pius XI and the resumption of Pope Pius XII, leading to debates on where the interest of the Vatican rested in the money Bernardino made them or the processes through which he made them. While the figures are not publicly known, Bernardino Nogara is believed to have increased the coffers of the papacy by hundreds of millions of dollars during his 25 years in charge. Among his most significant contributions was the suggestion to establish Vatican Bank in 1942 to manage their expanding wealth more effectively. In all, it was said to have laid foundation for the financial strength of the papacy, and things could only get better from there. Following Nogara's strategies, the Vatican diversified its investments, including significant holdings in international real estate. Reports indicate that the Vatican built a secret property empire using funds acquired during Nogara's era, with assets in locations such as the UK, France, and Switzerland. However, the Vatican's finance department felt that this was not enough. Under the leadership of Archbishop Paul McIncoss, a former bodyguard and close confidant of Pope Pius VI, with no formal training in banking or finance, the Vatican Bank ventured into currency speculation, or to sum it up, financial gambling. Through the help of a shady banker named Michel Sindona, who controlled the Franklin National Bank in the US and was said to have ties with the mafia, the Vatican Bank was able to orchestrate risky deals, many of which finally crumbled the US Bank in 1974. Leaving the Vatican Bank itself with a staggering loss of $53 million. As if this was not enough damage to the reputation of the Catholic Church, the Vatican was faced with another financial scandal in 1982 during the collapse of Banco Ambrosiano, Italy's largest private bank at the time, in which the Vatican was the largest shareholder. The fallout was catastrophic and exposed several dubious financial dealings being run through the bank. For example, authorities uncovered evidence of the bank being allegedly used to dodge taxes and hide illicit wealth, while further allegations claim that the bank was used as a secretive pipeline for funneling dirty money for organized crime and corrupt politicians. In the midst of this disgrace, the church admitted moral responsibility for the bank's collapse and reluctantly paid $244 million to settle with the bank's creditor. But that was not the end of the story. Roberto Calvi, who led Banco Ambrosiano, was later found hanging from a London bridge that same year. Though his death was initially ruled a suicide, it was later declared a murder, and the new development opened up a spiraling court case that accused the Vatican of having a hand in Calvi's murder with the sole aim of stopping him from having a blackmail power over them. This began to raise questions about the Vatican's financial escapades and why it would go to any length to protect its wealth from deep investigations. It is well known that forced investigations from outside parties have never turned out well, such as in 2013 when the Bank of Italy probed the Vatican Bank and discovered that it was moving billions of euros between global commercial banks every year. The Vatican never complied with the investigation and refused to tell investigators where the money was coming from, drawing suspicions of money laundering. 2 years later, JP Morgan forced the Vatican to close its US account with them after it was found to have moved 1.5 billion euros through that singular account in just 18 months. And in that same year, the European Anti-Money Laundering Council found that the Vatican Bank was non-compliant on 7 of its 16 core standards. Inasmuch as it is well known that the Vatican's economy is being driven by tourism, donations from Peter Spence, and other investments in various sectors, the Catholic Church has refused to publish very much on these sources of income. Neither can it justify the billions that it controls. In recent developments, however, some changes are taking place, revealing a lot more about the Vatican's wealth than we thought we knew. Following the emergence of Pope Benedict XVI and Pope Francis after him, a lot of arrests have been made within the Vatican's financial institution in a trend to sanctify the church's name and wealth. This may go on to prove the case that not everything we call the Vatican's wealth is indeed the Vatican's wealth. Some turn out to be the personal escapades of its workers who are quick to exploit loopholes in the church's banking system. In 2013, For example, a senior accountant to the Vatican was arrested for allegedly plotting to smuggle 20 million euros in untaxed cash to Italy as part of a tax evasion scheme. This triggered an audit that discovered over 100 other suspicious transactions in the Vatican's finances, exposing the rot that was going on in the financial wing. In 2018, the bank charged its former president with the embezzlement of $50 million through fraudulent real estate and money laundering schemes. This was coming as a part of the Vatican's commitment to reducing money laundering and increasing financial transparency in 2018. This commitment led the bank to begin publishing its annual profits and assets, including its investment and deposits from account holders. While this is an improvement from the former doctrine, the Vatican still falls short of its promise as external reviews continue to discover unreported transactions and wealth. It's apparent that the Holy See may never be fully transparent with its treasuries, as this century-long tradition has become an important part of its banking system. With so many privileges to explore, ranging from global influence to tax exemptions, wealth generation for the Vatican has always been relatively effortless, coupled with a financial system that allows them the freedom to operate beyond the constraints of church doctrines. The Vatican has crafted a unique but controversial economic model. This only raises the question of where the interest of the Vatican lies. Is it in the divine mission or the accumulation of worldly wealth?